Brian Mulondo.
After 8, thank you so much for staying with us. It's morning at NTV, and the weather outside is hectic, for lack of a better word. Update us, whatever you are, send a picture on our Facebook page or tweet us at morning at NTV. We'll be able to show some of those pictures, but of course we've also sent cameras to cover whatever is happening wherever you are. Well, according to Oxfam, extreme poverty has been halved in the last 15 years. The vision is that in the next 15 years, extreme poverty as we know it, will be no more. It's a force of millions of people who share belief that in a world rich with resources, poverty isn't inevitable. It's the good thing is that it's headed by also Uganda. So we you know, that's very good. So joining me this morning is Peter Kamalingin. Is Correct. That the right pronunciation?
Absolutely.
The country director of Oxfam. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Brian.
15 years from now, an end to poverty, isn't that too ambitious?
I think we believe as Oxfam that is possible, but it will not happen by accident. Mm-hmm. It is a result. It will only happen as a result of deliberate choice, mm-hmm. decision, and commitment by all actors, governments, but also the citizens of the world, citizen of Uganda.
Mm-hmm. Central to the work that you do is women empowerment, and you know, your vision to make them have all these spaces to access. Yes. And I think they've done well in the past few years. I mean, Oxfam is headed by a woman now, and I think women, someone the other day was saying, in fact, they should remove affirmative action at university, because now women fight for whatever they have to do. But one of those things that has been neglected is care work, and in a few minutes he'll be explaining to us what care work is. But before we get there, ideally, the challenges that women face in their day-to-day work, whether it's in leadership or at the workplace or at home, in the work that you've done, what are some of those?
Yeah, I think, Brian, unfortunately, I think you and I have related with this situation about the distributions of roles in the home, in the community, mm-hmm. and in the public space. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of work that women do, and as Oxfam, we have taken time to do an action research, particularly in Lamour, together with the Uganda Women Network, UONET. It's an action research which has been there for the last 1.5 years, mm-hmm. basically trying to understand the extent of unpaid care work to mean taking care of homes, health care for children, bathing children, following up in the school, doing their homework, cooking, all those things that are so critical for you and I, mm-hmm. but that is often less recognized, unappreciated, and sometimes taken as outside the domain of the economy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think that we have done that action research. And I think the idea generally is to highlight how critical it is, so that in the end we can be able to appreciate it, recognize it, that it's important, and once you have recognized it, find ways of how to reduce it, either at the household, how people within the household distribute labor and roles, mm-hmm. but most importantly also what government and other duty bearers can do to reduce the load. Mm-hmm. If you have a water tap outside the home of a woman, you reduce the burden on that woman to walk many distances. And also, most importantly, to redistribute that work. Mm-hmm. And above all, to relate it with the ability of women to be represented in decision-making spaces, mm-hmm. whether that is in a local council or in a community agricultural group, right. or in parliament for that matter. Mm-hmm. Because you realize that even our members of parliament, whom we think have come out of what you call affirmative action, mm-hmm. they are there, but majority of them, the studies show, are still very much burdened by things that they have to do as women. And they have to rush away from the parliamentary committee meetings a little bit earlier, or if it is a woman in a community, has to rush away from a council meeting mm-hmm. before the budget is passed in order to go and do that work that is very important. And I think we also want to find a way of how we can quantify it. This is why we are now discussing, we have initiated discussions with the Uganda Bureau of Statistics to find a way of how we can infuse this kind of perspective in the household surveys so that it is understood.
Is the challenge in not being able to quantify it? Because as a man, I'll say, you will hear even men say, but you've just been with the children, you've been at home the whole day. I've been there in the marketplace doing everything I can to bring the money home, because where there's a salary, it's quantifiable, you know.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge, and that's why we need to find it a way. Maybe the other way is for women to strike 1 day or 2 days, then you see. And they don't work, they don't do all these things. You will see that, you and I will realize that the economy will collapse. So I think it's important that it's recognized, it's appreciated, but also rewarded. But most importantly, I think redistributed.
You have a few tools that you use
Yes.
at Oxfam. How is that? First of all, let us know about those tools, like girls. How is that helping address this issue?
I think we have been testing a number of household tools. And I think we have the gender action learning system, which basically looks at mobilizes a community or a household to look at, for example, where they want to go, having a vision of where the family wants to be. They may say, for example, that in the next 2 years we want to live in a permanent house, so we move from a water house to a permanent house. And then they begin to understand together through the grammatic processes. You don't have to have gone to school to really do a visioning in this case, and then decide, if we have to get there, what are the milestones? By the next 6 months, what do we need to have done as a family? The next 1 year, so that you see, you have a clear roadmap. But also, between it, you know that, as it is normally the case, understand what are the barriers, but also what are the opportunities.
Yeah.
It could be that you know someone, you have a relationship, it's a network, it's anything. You have land, maybe you can, you plan together and then see what are going to be the roles of us as a family to reach to that. So it is a tool that facilitates self-discovery and is very empowering as well. And I think this has also been used to build a community vision. For example, what we call the neighborhood assemblies, so that people come together to discuss, maybe invite the local council, invite the member of parliament. And it's important to understand that these processes are the critical ones to empower citizens. Because as you and I know, this is a period for electioneering. The relationship between the state and the citizen, the relationship between the political leader and the citizen is always as if the politicians, as if the people serve the state, as if the people serve the citizen.
Yeah.
The relationships and the power dynamic there needs to be shifted. And I think that's not going to happen until the citizen, one, understands what he or her rights are, and then be able to find means to enforce that right. It will not come by charity.
Well, Peter, I guess I'll call you back to talk about the opportunities that women have, so that they take up these spaces, because that is also lacking. But as we wind this up, where do you see women, in the next 15 years? Of course, poverty is central to what you're doing, ending poverty, but I think the vision for women, as far as Oxfam is concerned.
I mean, our vision, we see women as a critical part of the economy, not just of the country, of the household, but also on the economy of the world. I think women have to realize that they do have the power. In fact, they are more than the men, for example, in our country. And they have one thing, they call it a vote. You can use that. This is a critical moment. And I think this tokenism that we have seen over the last years, where women are seen as if their rights are being given, I think they have never translated that to actually do things that change the dynamic, that address the real power that women have.
Right. Peter, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Oxfam, there you can actually go to the website and read more and find out how you can be a part of Oxfam in making sure that you empower women in whatever they do. I can't wait to have this discussion on ending poverty. I think it's a very ambitious thing, and I would love to be a part of that.